tale to tell and an increasing level of intrigue as we look deep into the final round of the home and away on the 360 agenda. The word on the street is rested, at least for those with the luxury at selection, while they're rolling the dice in the West, where there's an air of urgency. Retirements have formalised for a host of treasured names set to be honoured by their clubs and fan bases alike. And Nick Dal Santo is finals bound with the Kangas. He's on the job this weekend and he's with us at the desk. I'm Jared Waitley, he's Mark Robinson. This Thursday night, it's footy from all.
Hello, Jared.
Hello, Robbo. You have interrupted virtually every night this week.
I forget that you're talking.
Yes.
I think I'm in my own world. Anyway,
We have spent the day together.
we have. Have we got a big segment on? That's what I was
We're
just
doing
looking
it right now. That's right off the top.
Is it really?
People have been
So the most
waiting.
important thing in footy today.
I have fielded
Is it
tweets
really?
all day as to whether this has happened or not.
The most important on the day that Luke Ball is finished, Ryan O'Keefe is finished.
Just want to get this done.
Carmichael Hunt is finished. We're leading with you and Tiger.
I have today washed Robbo's dog. Hello, Tiger. Hello, mate. How are you? Hey? We're going to go in there.
Yeah, come on.
Make you nice and clean.
Yeah,
Come on, mate.
Come on.
Up we go. Good boy.
Oh, there you go.
Good boy.
Well, good luck.
All right, Kristen, I need your help. How are we going about this?
So first we just got to get Tiger in the back.
Come on, Tiger. Up you come, buddy. There's no reason to trust us.
Lift you, Jared. Put some effort into it, Sam.
Up you get, pal. Good boy. I had you picked as a rogue. You're nothing but a big softie.
He is a big softie.
Yes, just like Robbo, a big softie underneath. Once you get through all the bluff and bluster.
He is tied up.
Come here, fella. I'll give you a wash.
Behind the ears, Jared. Get right in.
Bit of a scrub. Wash all those suds off. Hey?
Well done.
Good boy.
Come on, Jared. Well done. Sorry about this, mate. Sorry about
The
this.
things you have to do for your owners.
Yeah, great looking dog, isn't he?
He's a ripper.
Had to tell you off at one stage. You were cleaning the entire dog and you were doing the doggy bits and doing a bit quick. I said you didn't have to do it that quick.
So Kristen helped me out there.
Kristen
it took
was
until last
fantastic.
night to get the mobile dog wash, but Jim's helped us out.
Now that was for the bet.
It was.
At Fremantle, that's St Kilda. We got
St Kilda ruined me.
St Kilda beat Fremantle, which made you watch that dog.
Yep.
That was fantastic. It was a good afternoon.
It was good fun. What are you looking forward to, Robbo?
How's this? I'm looking forward to Tiger time.
Yes.
But not that Tiger time. Of course I'm looking forward to the Tigers playing Swans on Saturday afternoon. I didn't get the big screen up at Punt Road, I must tell you that. If they win, I wouldn't be surprised if they put one in, but not this week. I don't know if you call them fairy tales. I'm not going to call it a fairy tale. I like underdogs.
Yep.
You know what? I like seeing people and football players and football teams lift on occasions where everyone says they can't. And I've learnt my lesson with Collingwood today, and I'll tell you about that
Yes,
later.
you will.
But there's great anticipation for this game, and I just hope the Tigers play accordingly. I don't care if they don't win, as long as they play accordingly.
We will all be watching.
What
that
about?
much I feel certain of.
What are you
I'm looking
to?
forward to Lenny's 8th tackle. Because his 8th tackle on Sunday will be the league record. It has been documented today. It'll be
all-time record.
1491st tackle, which will take him past Jude Bolton. I especially like the challenge of this. Is this the 3 o'clock game? It's the 3 p.m. game.
Oh, no,
so it's all on Bruce McAvaney to get Lenny Hayes' 8th tackle and enshrine it in history. That's not an easy thing to get, I don't think.
Do you think Lenny will set himself to do it?
Without question. But what I'm interested in is, you know, if you're after a goal, all of your teammates can get a little one over the top. There's no way to get the assist to get to a tackle.
Yeah, it'd be good to... Yeah, I like that. I like that.
It gives it a hook anyway.
Yes, it will.
We've got a stack to get through here, so let's get into the agenda. And the answer to one of the lingering questions of the week came back in the negative. Luke Ball won't go on next year, and thereby all expectations, apart from those at Collingwood, would make tomorrow night his final game.
I've decided to finish up at the end of the season, whenever that might be. Hopefully it's not tomorrow night against the Hawks. We obviously hope to go a lot further than that, but going to finish up. I had a really good chat with the coach yesterday, and despite everything that's been said in the papers over the last week or so, we came to the conclusion together yesterday that it's probably time for me to move on to the next phase of my life.
So these are not easy decisions to make, and the conundrum, I thought, was encapsulated in the two quotes in the statement from Luke Ball. And the first indicator, I still have the competitive will to play on, but the team is evolving, and physically I know I need everything to go right to meet my expectations and the standard required by the team. And then the concession. To be honest, I am at peace with the decision. If I step back and consider the sweep of my career, I've got so much to appreciate and be thankful for. I love the game, and I want to leave loving it. And the game loved him right back, I reckon.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I half lied to you. I lied to you last night, Jared. And I lied to people who were watching last night. I interviewed Luke Ball on Tuesday at Luke Ball's house, and I've done a really... Oh, no, I've done anything. I've just transferred Luke Ball's thoughts. But I wanted to talk to a player who's played for 12 years, and he didn't know on Tuesday if this was going to be his final game. And we sat down, and he really opened his heart about his fears, whether his body would hold up, would he let his teammates down if he wanted. Was he being stubborn? Was he being proud? Was there a bit of hubris there? We spoke at length about that hug. We spoke about him sitting in the dugout. He said a couple of times this year he stood up on the back fence and peered over and looked at retirement, and he didn't like it. So he got back down and said, no, I don't want to go. Those statements today just shows the character of Luke Ball. Luke Ball wanted to go on. He believed he could go on. But the reality is, when a decision's made, and it's in conjunction, sort of, Luke Ball didn't come out kicking and screaming and say, no, I want to go on. He said, you know what, I'm at peace. It says a lot about him. I want to tell you one other thing about Luke Ball. I spoke to him on Tuesday at 2 p.m. at his home. We're going to get a photograph. Wayne Lovey was taking a photograph 5:35 Tuesday afternoon. The big fog rolled in.
Yes.
Ludby rings me and goes, oh, we can't do the photograph. And I said, oh, we might be in trouble, because I knew that Luke Ball was talking to Nathan Buckley on the Wednesday. Do you know what Luke Ball did today?
What did he do?
Luke Ball, sacked, retired, didn't get a contract, whatever you want to call it. Luke Ball still went and done a photograph today after the event, so it can go on the paper tomorrow. To me, that says a lot about the character of Luke Ball. I'm actually going to say one more, and I said I wasn't going to say it. Luke Ball sent me a text at about 7:10 tonight and apologised. Apologised to me because he thought I might have stuffed up the article. Who does that? Who does that? His life just closed one chapter, and he's thinking about other people. We'll ask Nick Dal Santo about it when he comes in.
There'll be warm applause for him as he leaves the MCG tomorrow night. That much I know. Let's have a look at the way the teams landed. For all those who thought there'd be no messing around with things across this weekend, that was never going to be the case. And those who have been able to rest have rested, and they have rested plentifully.
Read them accordingly.
You have made me quite self-conscious about this.
Come on, read them well.
The key outs from Hawthorn: Hodge with knee soreness, Suckling with a knee, and Stratton's also out with a corked calf. Swan and Young have hamstrings, and McCaffrey we know with the knee. Omitted for Fremantle, Ibbotson and De Boer to make way for. We'll get to those shortly. Carlisle with a hamstring. Now North Melbourne, they had to phone something in. Soreness for Ferrito, knee for Thomas, calf for Greenwood, soreness for Goldstein, McDonald with a back. Geelong just go managed. Christensen, McIntosh, Motlop amongst 5 changes. Pike, illness. Not included for Sydney, Kennedy, McGlynn and Bird. They all wait.
Yep.
Laird misses with concussion, Gilbert with the foot, and Cox soreness. So his days could be over, depending on what happens with West Coast on the Gold Coast.
Well read, disappointed. You didn't say we'll get back to that one. Oh, the Cox was
kept
the last one.
To last.
Next one, next week, it's got to be, we'll get back to that one. I hope they do. I'm really falling in love with the sending off of our champs of the game. I really am. And I know this happened last week. I want it to happen at home.
Yep.
I really do. I want it to happen at home. So I think West Coast to get up. They're my team to get up. So hopefully Dean Cox can get back in next week.
The ins, Fremantle have left nothing to chance. Pavlich and Barlow, who was the player Ross Lyons said there'd be no risks with the cracked thumb. Wells and Hansen are in for North Melbourne. Wells just has to play. Lumumba, well, he's available, so anyone who's fit at Collingwood has to take the field. Schoenmakers is back for the Hawks, Davis for the Giants, and Minson, although he is on the extended bench for the moment with the Bulldogs. Heppel, Bell Chambers gets a fresh crack at things late.
Nice inflection.
Martin for Richmond, that was absolutely key, and it means Ty Vickery is an emergency. Reid for the Swans, Hall and Smith's the key in for the Cats, along with Mitch Brown, who'll play as the second key forward. McKay for Adelaide, Nat Nui, and Scott Selwood. Scott Selwood hasn't played since round 12. He had season-ending ankle surgery. It was major surgery, and he's dragged himself back for the last round. The key here, though, is Fremantle. They're playing for all the marbles on Saturday.
Yes, they are. They are. Fremantle and Port, in my opinion. Who's back for Fremantle?
Pavlich and Barlow.
That helps. 2 nights ago, Jerry, we were saying they can't win because 5 Pavlich and Barlow weren't playing. Let's just see if they all get up. It's a huge game. It really is. I think, is it the game of the weekend?
Do you know it is?
Probably.
There's such a good story around Richmond that's been given top billing. But this is straight out for premiership contention.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Have you decided who you've picked?
In that game?
Yep.
No. I must have emailed them through. I honestly can't remember which one I tipped.
It's quarter to 8, mate.
Yes, I did send them through. I'm not sure who I picked. Cyril Rioli is tagged for the first time today by Alistair Clarkson, the prospect that he mightn't get back for the Hawks in this run at the title.
He's got an injury that's pretty serious. He's missed a lot of footy, and he had a scan 2 or 3 weeks ago that showed that his progress hasn't advanced to the level that we'd hoped it would, but that doesn't mean he's been ruled out either. So he'll continue to progress his training over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we're going to give him every chance to try and play. But we're not going to put him or our team at risk either. If he's not right to play, then unfortunately we'll have to proceed without him. But we've been able to manage okay without him thus far, and if we have to go through the finals without him again, that's what we'll do.
Straight away, that tells me they don't know. Simple as that. So you was asked about it. Well done. That's pretty truthful.
Be straight up and down.
Pretty truthful answer. But gone are the days of ducks and drakes. With the cycle. If he's not playing, he's not playing. That's been Clarkson's mantra, whoever it's been in the last. It seems to me in the last 2 years. If he's not playing, that's okay. We'll bring someone else in. And he's quite right. They've done okay without Cyril. But that said,
you still want Cyril in your finals campaign.
There's no doubt. I like Dermot's suggestion. He won't be match fit. But, geez, he might be a very, very handy sub. Bringing Cyril on at the 5-minute mark of the last quarter in a tight game.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be real good.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be a constant conversation for at least the next 3 weeks. Just a quick run through the scenarios here, Robbo. These are well recounted, and I'm pretty sure they're embedded in football fans' minds as to what's going to happen. The Pies have to beat the Hawks. That's the starting point. We don't terribly well think that's going to happen with the stocks that Collingwood has available. If Richmond wins, they make it.
Yep.
It's as easy as that. If they lose, they won't be making it.
No.
A lot would have to fall their way. West Coast would get the next crack at it. They could. West Coast would get the next crack at it if Richmond has lost to replace them in the 8. If they beat the Suns, they're in. If they lose, they won't be. And Adelaide, they can sit just back and have a look and see if it's going to be sort of 75 or 85 points. Is the West Coast not out of their reach, regardless of whether the Eagles win or not? But that will be the real fun of the fair. If there is a certain margin that everyone's playing for, because I can imagine the Adelaide Oval being a heap of fun on Sunday night.
If I was Alan Richardson, you'd put 12 people behind the ball, wouldn't you?
Why?
Don't know, just to make it interesting.
But to what end?
Don't know.
It's not. He doesn't care whether Adelaide makes it or not.
It's just a throwaway line, Jerry.
No, but that's what will happen. I agree. It will give them purpose. They go, right, we need to deny Adelaide 85 points.
They have something to play. Yeah,
that's right. But
keep them out.
It gives everyone purpose.
And they hate. Adelaide hates and Kilda already, so they might as well give them another reason to hate them.
All right. The Richmond side of things, though, has occupied the mind right through. Damien Hardwick is getting his men ready to face the Swans.
It's an enormous opportunity. Our destiny's in our own hands, obviously, and we play an outstanding outfit in Sydney. We go up there and we'll take the game on, we'll play our way, and if we're good enough, we'll come away with the 4 points. But there's no better place you'd rather be than having your destiny in your own hands. So our guys will take on that challenge and hopefully get our guys a result. We're confident, we've won a lot of games in a row. Second reason was we travel well. We've had a pretty good record interstate, probably over the last 3 years. So from our point of view, we take the game on, we're looking forward to it. It solidifies a group going away as a group. We're really looking forward to the challenge. And, it's an outstanding opportunity for our guys. They're playing a side that's, lost a relatively few games this year. So there's going to be some pressure on, and we're hoping our guys will stand. We believe our guys will stand up and play well. It's going to be a great challenge. It's going to be a great game. We're really looking forward to it.
Winning their end, it's beautiful, isn't it?
He doesn't change his comments very much, Damien Hardwick, does he?
Nope.
We're in it to win it. Got to play well.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Does it
What about
matter?
the great story about Jack Rewell today?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, skin cancer, get out and get it checked. That's what footballers are really good at doing, sending messages. Anyway, keep going.
How acutely does it matter from here if they win and make it, or if they play really well and just stay in the vein of what they've been doing?
It's funny, I asked David Schwartz the same question tonight.
Right.
If Richmond doesn't win, is it a failed season? And if Richmond wins and plays finals, is it a successful season? He said it doesn't really matter because of their last 8 weeks they've shown a lot of mettle. That's great. I see a lot of teams show mettle. The facts are you've got to play finals to be... from where they're coming from, they've got to play finals. They were in a final last year, up by 5 goals at half-time, got run over by Blues and sent out of September in an embarrassing fashion. And they were embarrassing at 3-10. Well done, Tigers, for winning 8 in a row. It's not done a lot, so good on you. But if you don't win this week, I'm not going to remember the 8 in a row. I'll remember as much as the 3-10.
Yep.
And in 5 years' time, when they say, well, was Damien Hardwick a great coach? Do you reckon if they say, well, they made finals 2 years running? Does that sound better than, they played finals first, but they nearly got there the second year, they won 8 in a row. Does it really matter if they won 8 in a row? You've got to win them when it counts. And they're so lucky to be presented with an opportunity which 8 other clubs would have to say, I decide today whether we play finals football or not. Then it will be a successful year.
Okay.
That's how exciting it is.
Got your answer. Now, the retirees of the day. The situation surrounding Ryan O'Keefe has been awkward since the dawn of the season, and I don't think that really abated at all today. He'll get a lap of honour, but he'll get no farewell game. He didn't play this year.
I'm a competitor and I love playing, and I've played the highest level for such a long time. It has been difficult.
You ask them to be competitors for their whole life, and they do that, and they deliver time and time again, and then you get to the end of their careers, and it's easy for, I think, people just to think, oh, well, why can't you just switch the switch off and move on? And it's not as easy as that, is it? And you've got to be hard, and you've got to be a competitor your whole life, and that's why he's been such a good player. So to just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm done, some players find that easy, some players don't.
Yeah, we spoke a lot during the season. We agreed to disagree on a few occasions, but look, I fully understand where everyone's coming from, and that's, as I said, I'm going to leave the Swans this year feeling good where the place is at, what I've done, what I've achieved, and as I said, it's been a massive influence on me, and yeah, I'm happy. I just really wanted to have the opportunity to thank and say goodbye to everyone.
That's been hard. That's been hard for Ryan O'Keefe right throughout the year. How do you read the end of it?
Class. He handled his year with aplomb. I haven't heard one person from Sydney saying that Ryan O'Keefe is sooking it up.
He absolutely committed to playing at the lower level and played well in a manner that had the will been, he could have played seniors, but the will was never there for him to do so.
You know, and it's a cliche, and I like saying this, when the whips are cracking, who's there? When he didn't get cleared to Hawthorn, which was for Jordan Lewis, by the way, did you know that? Anyway, when he didn't get cleared to Hawthorn, he went into John Longmire's office and said, you know, I don't want to play half forward anymore. Put me in the midfield. He went from a good player, seriously, to a great player, where he won the Norm Smith, he was best on ground in almost every final in the 2012, I think it was 2012, final series. He was a big game player.
Yes, he was.
Ryan O'Keefe. And I mean, what a great description to be called a big go. You go out there and you fight when it's on.
Daniel Jown Syracuse will play his last game on the weekend. Bob Murphy gave us just a little tease of this the other night, and then he wrote the full piece in The Age today. I won't quote from it because it needs to be read in full. It is the most beautiful depiction of the relationship between a teammate. And for all that we'll see on Sunday, the private warm-up that they'll go through, that's described there, that will actually be the highlight of the day, I think.
I've had an amazing time. I've had some great memories. Been involved in some pretty successful teams and pretty proud of what we've been able to put out on the park, for sure.
It's his last game on Sunday and he can leave the game knowing that he did everything he could to be the best he could. And if that's what people write about you, that you got everything out of yourself and you gave everything to your club every minute, every week, every year, well, it's a great testament, and that's what he's done. And that was obvious to me the first time I met him and the first week I was around him. And he's just been brilliant to work with, and I know I speak on behalf of his teammates. He's been brilliant to play with too. I think he's got one more game in him where those little legs just whir and go fast, and he runs into it fast. Fast as they can go.
Years.
I can just see him running into a couple of open goals for us on Sunday. And
I'm sure he's got a goal or two left in him too.
God, he was a footballer. Mm-hmm. He knew how to kick goals. He knew how to get to places, or get to places on the ground where the ball just happened to be, and he happened to kick goals. He could turn a game in 10 minutes, you know. And I've learnt in the last 2 years that he actually had a greater football understanding than because of the club agreeing to wire him up and all that sort of stuff. Those sort of things expose players to the public, and I got a different thinking of Gia. I just thought he was a smart footballer, but now I know he's got a really deep understanding of how the game should be played as well.
He'll be coaching in no time. Carmichael Hunt is finished with the AFL. In all likelihood, he'll sign tomorrow with the Queensland Reds back in the Super Rugby competition. He declined a farewell game with the Suns, believing his form just didn't warrant it.
It's the right time. Obviously the last 2 years haven't been great for me physically. I've spent probably more times on the sideline being injured than I probably have for the rest of my playing career, whether it be at the Broncos or overseas. So, you know, it's the right time for me. I'm getting to that age where obviously I've got to start thinking about the future, and I just couldn't see myself being physically confident in myself to get through you know, another pre-season, because what these boys go through year in, year out in terms of the physicality and the demands that they put on their body is second to none. I guess I survived 4 of them, and I certainly wasn't looking forward to undertaking another one. So,
where you going?
Look, probably not today. Just out of respect for the occasion, you know, I'll probably keep that for a later date. But I'll say that I'm pretty sure of where I'm going to go, and you'll know in the next couple of days, I suppose.
So Carmichael Hunt finishes up with the Suns. And then there's Lenny Hayes. And as Moons was saying, as farewell tours go, this has been right up there with the best. John Farnham and Nellie Melba and Steve Waugh, and now Lenny Hayes, who retired quite some time ago, but he's still going round for the last time, for the 297th time at the Adelaide Oval against the Crows on Sunday. You can catch it all on Channel 503 as one of the true favourites in the game from recent times. Signs off devilishly close to a milestone, but with the potential of becoming the greatest tackler in the history of the game. So that'll mean a lot to his current teammates and to those who have served with him in the past, and it'll mean an awful lot to a fan base and a football public in its entirety. And not just for this purpose, but one of those reasons. We have with us Nick Dal Santo at the desk. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks for having me.
The I Love Lenny campaign has been large.
Yeah. I've noticed that.
Has it made you sick at all?
Well, no, not really. I think Lenny deserves every little bit of credit that he gets, Robbo. Obviously being a part of his career for 12 years, you can understand why people do love him, not only internally as a player, but externally for the way he goes about his footy, the sort of bloke that he is. It's been pretty large, though, the amount of love for him.
You know why? Can you understand why, as a teammate, can you understand why followers of other teams love Lenny?
In some ways. I mean, I understand that opposition supporters respect people the way they go about their footy. And I think Lenny encapsulates everything that you want in a football. He's hard, he's selfless. I think that he's a real team sort of person. I reckon people outside can see that in him. But I also reckon they respect the sort of bloke that he is. And you talk about fanfare and modesty, and I think Lenny would hate, in some ways, the amount of publicity that he's getting. And in some ways, bad luck. That's what you deserve. So I enjoy that sort of part of it. But he's been as good a teammate as I've had over a 13-year career.
And when you've heard that Luke Ball is finishing up as well, what were your
I only found out that about 5 o'clock tonight. Obviously, there's been a bit of talk about it. That's sad as well. I mean, obviously, I've known Luke and actually got to stay with his family when we were under 17s. Moved, I was from Bendigo, and stayed with his family as a kid, and sort of grown up with Luke as well. So really sad times. But the thing that I did like, and I heard you talk about it before, Robbo, that he's at peace. And I reckon him and Lenny have the right to feel like that just because of the way they've gone about their football. That I reckon if you said to them at the start of their career, in 12, 13, 15 years' time, you're going to walk away from the game satisfied, then what more can you really ask for?
Now, don't take this personal, but when you're at St Kilda and you had Luke Ball and Lenny Hayes beside you, you were thinking to yourself, I really don't have to dive in and get that ball. Well, I might just go over here.
It's almost the opposite, to be honest with you. You knew if they were doing it and they were prepared to do it week after week that you had to do it. They set the standard. I understand what you're saying.
Everyone's got different skills, right? And your skills was to run and deliver.
You look at the amount of times they had bandages on their heads, and that just sort of showed the sort of person they were and what they were prepared to do for the team. And unfortunately, they did it every week.
Does it make you feel old when you see contemporaries go?
Oh, yes and no.
How old are you anyway, by the way?
30. We don't have to go too deeply in that, Robbo. I still feel pretty decent. My body's feeling nice. But it is. You just start to look around the change rooms, and it happened at St Kilda last year, and it's happening this year, and you start to realise there's not many older than you. And, you know, the kids know these words and these songs, and, you know, it's all about being on your phone. And
you were like that when you were 19.
We didn't have it, mate. We would have got in a
so.
lot of trouble if we were kids doing that sort of stuff, but you start to feel old every now and then with a few things that's going on these days.
How much do you think we're coming into the finals, and well done to North Melbourne. It's been a really interesting year watching North Melbourne. Yeah, there's been highs and lows again, but it's coming pretty well at the right time of the year. How much has it reinvigorated not your career, your mind and your association with footy?
Yeah, I reckon you've hit the nail on the head. I reckon it's more your mind. It's not that I train any differently than I have probably the last 10 or so years. I just reckon you have to be more alert. And it's everything from making sure you're not late, making sure you understand training sessions, making sure you understand the way that the team plays. And it wasn't until I left that I realised I actually knew the St Kilda players naturally really well. You know, when Lenny Hayes gets the ball, where he's going to turn. And I reckon it took me a little while just to sort of understand how, you know, Daniel Wells plays when he gets the ball, or Jack Zeeble, because they are a little bit different.
When Lindsay gets the ball, just run back to the centre.
Yeah.
He's just going to have a shot at goal.
He's not going to handball it to you, so you don't have to worry about that. But I reckon more than anything, it's just made you more alert. You just have to be on your toes.
What about building respect? You're talking about being late. You wouldn't have been late for a second at a new club, wouldn't you?
No, I tried never to be late at the same time.
I'm sure of that. But did that sort of, all those little things get just like a little jolt?
Magnified, yeah. I reckon the other thing is you don't want to be caught out with it, and you want to set good standards. And I felt like I'd done that at St Kilda over a period of time, but going to a new club, that was your first opportunity to give them the impression of what you are as a person and the way you go about your footy off the field as well, which they wouldn't have known about prior to getting there. So I've actually really enjoyed that side of it as well, and the challenge of not necessarily knowing what you're going to do every day because the program's different.
A team who is locked into a position has an obligation to set themselves for the first week of the finals, and North Melbourne has done that. There are RDOs obviously in the offing. Did you want to play through? Do you like the continuity of it?
This time of year, absolutely. I reckon there's opportunities throughout the year and maybe going forward that I wouldn't mind a week off, just where your body's at and mentally just freshen up. I think the 2-bye season is fantastic for that. But for me at the moment, I actually enjoy the continuity of playing, recover, prepare, play. And I've just felt if I was to have this weekend off, I would have been a little bit different for next week, and I didn't want to run that risk.
The evolving I want to look at North Melbourne and all the players are a part of it, what you guys saying publicly. And you're on SCN, and I asked you a question. You said, oh, yeah, how did that get out? And you explained it. You weren't comparing St Kilda's a spray from Brad Scott to Ross Lyman. Different players have said something, led by probably Boomer.
Yeah.
Has the team evolved from the start of the year to now?
Yeah.
What has been the greatest change in character, I suppose?
I reckon it's a little bit of just growing up as well and living through experiences. And I felt coming to the club at the start of this year that they'd be a different group than what they were last year, losing all those close games. I just felt you had to live some of those experiences to understand what to do in the heat of battle. And I reckon playing a final in 2 weeks' time, it's going to be the same again. It's a new experience and you need to understand and live those before you can know how to handle it. I think the group as a whole has also developed in regards to the way that we speak to each other.
More demanding, more assertive.
Assertive, I think assertive is a good word. More demanding and I'd say probably more consistently and more often.
So that's the next step. For a guy who didn't win a premiership at St Kilda, but you got so close, are you seeing the same steps being put in place with the younger people that you and Montagna and Rewalt had to go through in taking those steps to get to the grand final? Are you seeing those steps being taken?
I see a lot of similarities.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the group at North Melbourne are, youngish, 22. I think you forget that Zeeble and Cunnington and these guys, Bastanak, are actually quite young. And I see a little bit of them in what we were like, what was it, probably mid-2000s now, going back a little while. But that's what I sort of refer to. You need to live that as well. And I think they're fantastic players. They've got every capability of growing. When I'm gone, they'll still obviously be there, but growing into something really sustained success. And I really like that, and I think that's exciting for the footy club.
So just on a personal note, how much are you looking forward to getting back to finals footy?
Yeah, a lot. And I think when you're not a part of it, you realise how special it is. And I'm really looking forward to the whole group being a part of September in Melbourne. They played a final a couple of years ago in West Coast and didn't go really well. But I think it's a different game and it's a different feel when you play in September in Melbourne. It's a little bit special. And,
do you feel pressure? I'll be honest.
I feel pressure every week.
I know, but they brought you over and you wanted to come. And
you're trying to put a little bit more on me, eh?
Well, I can't. There's a lot of pressure on you anyway. There's pressure on every player. But you come over, dollars, whatever, but you come over to help this group and now they're there. Do you feel right?
My job's done.
No, it's not. It's just starting, actually, Dal.
No, I don't feel any more pressure. Yeah. I actually appreciate and enjoy the responsibility of trying to pass on a little bit of something that I've been through in the past, but I'm hoping whenever that first game is the first final, it's still football, and that's the beauty of it. When you break it down to the most simplest form and you look at Lenny Hayes and you look at, I was thinking about Ryan O'Keefe, the reason he's been a fantastic player is he plays finals brand football every week. That's just how he plays football and that's why he's successful. I'd like to think there's still another game of footy. I know there's a little bit more at stake and there'll be probably an extra 60,000 at the MCG when we play Essendon in a couple of weeks, but at its purest form, it's still footy.
Enjoy it. Well done, Dal. Nice to see you.
Thanks, guys.
Nick Dal Santo with us on AFL 360. We'll bring in the fighters and have a look at what's to come on the weekend. Cam Mooney and Barry Hall.
Awake on my airplane, my skin is bare, my skin is...
Saturday is crunch time. The match with the greatest consequence is over in the west. Fremantle and Port Adelaide. The last chance at the double chance and all the benefits that go with it. And then over on 504, the best storyline of the weekend. Can the Tigers roll all the way to the finals and take down the premiership favourites, the Swans? Cameron Mooney, welcome.
Jared, hello.
Barry Hall, good to have you here.
How you doing?
Hello, Baz.
Let's start there. Let's start with the Swans and the Tigers. What are your expectations, Baz?
Look, it's really exciting. I'm hoping, from a fan point of view, that Richmond can do it and make the finals. It's going to be a great story. Melbourne's going to be up and about. The Tiger Army will be up and about. But it's going to be hard for me to see him get up with this the Sydney Swan juggernaut. It's getting better and better. Mike Pike's out of the side this week, but they'll rest him up and he'll have an impact come finals time. But it's just hard to see any weak points and where Richmond can take advantage of this great side.
The big matchups we were looking at upstairs, I mean, we were talking about Rance playing on Buddy, weren't we?
Yeah.
But the one I was looking at was Chaplin and Tippett. I mean, that to me is going to be a real bonus for Sydney. If they can isolate him deep, I'm just not sure if Chaplin can one-on-one go with Tippett.
Is he better, Nick, than he was 10 weeks ago?
Look, he had a fantastic game on the weekend and played in some really good form, but those big one-on-ones, I'm just not sure if they can. And then you throw in Reid and Goods that can run down through there. They haven't got anyone else really over that 193 centimetres down there, Richmond.
Is there any danger of the psychological impact that Swans are there and they don't come out at their normal competitive self?
What I will say, I heard apparently after the Bulldogs game last week that John Longmire was so thrilled with the way they played. It was just.
Did you see?
No, I heard that they were awesome.
Yep.
The way they set up, the way they played, their structures, everything he just thought was brilliant. He gave them apparently the biggest rap, and I don't see them trying to go away from that anywhere. And you can see the way he hasn't rested any players. It's just full steam ahead, and you should be at this time of year. You can't be resting players, I don't think, or changing things up or going in half-hearted on the week of the finals when you're the number one team.
Well, the system's so structured. You can't really hide in their system. So if a player's got a bit ahead of himself and thinks he's in for an easy afternoon, that'll stand out for John Longmire. He'll be right onto this group. There's no doubt about that. He's a really good coach, obviously, but he'll be right onto this group in making sure that doesn't happen. Last week they could have also fallen into that trap against the Doggies. They were fantastic. I'd expect to see the same this week.
I suspect we'll see John Longmire going off his head in the box. He always does, but it could be even worse this week.
The one place that they can look, Richmond are playing well, and it's, to me, Martin coming back in is a huge bonus because he and Delidio have now refined or defined their roles, playing that more forward mid, where they've been playing that back mid position. They're now spending so much more time forward of the centre. Higher forwards, forward of the centre, getting the ball inside 50, and in Martin's case, getting those one-on-ones. And to me, that's as dangerous as you can get.
The matchup for me will be Buddy Franklin on Alex Rance. I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup. We've seen him around 14. It was a really, really good duel.
He stopped him from kicking 9.
Yeah, Buddy ended up kicking 4.
And he kicked 4.
Swans kicked 9 in total, and look, Buddy was probably the most influential player on the ground, but he was getting frustrated early days.
Yeah,
there was a couple come to him late,
but
Alex Rance is exactly the player that Buddy Franklin doesn't like playing on. He's a scrapper, he grabs you, he holds you.
Competitive, isn't he?
He is, and look, me and Moon spoke about Loninger from Geelong. Buddy Franklin doesn't like playing on him, who's a similar sort of player as well. So if you frustrate Buddy, as I said, he performed really well in this night. He had 17 disposals, kicked 4 goals, and was most influential player on the park. But
look at these highlights.
It was a great duel.
All over him, isn't he?
He had to fight and scrap for every single possession that night, and he'll have to again Saturday night as well. And you're right, I think if Rance can hold him to a couple of goals, and Chaplin can try and hold Tippett to 2 or 3, they're in for a massive shot. If one of those big boys get a hold of them, like any side, I guess, they're done.
Better chance out at Homebush than SCG as well.
Yeah.
Now, Collingwood goes up and beats them. There's a lot of areas that Hardwick can grab.
Richmond, they play well. They play well at Patterson Stadium. They like those long grounds.
Yes.
Similar type of ground.
Okay. Ryan O'Keefe, how have you looked in on this, Baz? This has been a tough thing for O'Keefe to deal with.
Yeah, it's been hard for him, and look, he's a proud man, and he thinks he's still got something to offer the group and the football club. And unfortunately, he obviously hasn't played a lot this year. But look, I hope. Look, he's retired obviously now. I hope he doesn't go on. I hope he doesn't choose to say that he wants to play on and he doesn't get picked up, because I think he's done too much for the one club and he's done too much for the game to try and play for another club at least. Look, he's 34 years of age for one. He's played 286 games. He's won Norm Smith Bob Skilton medal. He's done enough in the game and done enough for this football club where he can bow out and be happy. I know it's been a tough year for him and he probably thought he could have played more games, but I think it'd be a real shame if he did say he wanted to play for someone else and didn't get picked up. I think it will tarnish him a little bit.
What if he wanted to play and someone picked him up and by round 8 they thought to themselves, no, it's not worth it?
Well, that's what I mean. I just don't see what he's going to benefit from it. Yeah, look, he might think he's got something to offer, but as you said, he's 34 years of age. You fall off the map really quick. So
we talk about how a great midfielder he was. When he was playing that half forward role in those early mid to 2000s, where he was pushing right up, empty out the forward line for Hugh and Mickey O, and he'd get up behind the stoppage and then just sprint through. There wasn't a player or a half-back flanker that could run with him. He was incredible. He was getting 25, 30 possessions as just a pure half forward. His running ability is incredible.
One of your mates took the extra year at the end of things, Josh Hunt. He had a year with the Giants where he's played more often than he hasn't. I think he still harbours dreams of potentially punting in the NFL.
He absolutely does. And looking forward to it, and congratulations to him, because he's one of the great men that I know in footy, 2 premierships. Look, he will definitely give it a go. I think he's heading over late October, to a few tryouts, a few practices, meet a few people. I think Benny Graham's obviously been a tremendous support and trying to help him out. And then hopefully next season he'll get picked up and give it a fair go. I think he's just got to look. It's just his consistency, as they all say in punting. It's just got to be consistent. 8 or 9 kicks out of 10 have to be spot on, and I don't think he's too far from that. So he's got the ability.
Okay, stay with Geelong. Mitch Brown is going to come in as the second tall forward, so probably on trial for a game to see if he can make it work for the qualifying final.
Well, it's going to be a big one for Mitch. He started the year off really well. They were very pleased with his pre-season and had a couple of really good games. He's very solid in the VFL. And you're right, they need a second big forward. It's simple as that. Kirsten going down, Vardy obviously we know. They play this run and gun style of footy, which we saw last week in that first half. Is it sustainable? Well, last week probably says no. Is it finals footy? Well, I watched the qualifying final last year against Fremantle. I'll say no, it's not. So they need to find that extra big guy that when the pressure's on, contested footy, just kick it long, get a contest, get another stoppage, anything like that. So it's a big test for him. And if he can't do it, well, I think Walker's been maybe at it as well. So it's between those two guys, and I'd love for one of them to stand up.
Myself and Jared reckon the loser of Fremantle and Port can still win the flag. Kenny thought we were an idiot. We were idiots.
I agree.
First of all, who do you think will win this? And why do you agree with us? We know our reason. Why do you think they're capable?
Because either one of these sides are a top 4 side. And we talk about only top 4 can win it. Well, these guys should be in the top 4.
So it's not about the chance. They're good enough to compete for those 4 weeks.
I know we talk about, you've got to have the break to go in and play in a grand final. Well, I think we saw Brisbane do it 2003. So it can be done. And I think with Port's running ability that they've got back, I think we will see them finish the year off extremely strong. Look at Fremantle. Fremantle can shut you down to 11 goals. So that's always going to keep them in the game. I know they keep you in the game because they don't score as much, but they still keep themselves in every game because they don't allow the opposition to kick too much.
So I think Fremantle could from 5th, but I don't think Port Adelaide could. I think the toll of 3 weeks on the road would be too much. So what's in this game? It's the final before the finals.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you. I think Fremantle can from 5th. I don't believe Port can. I think that's a pretty good call from you. Look, there's a lot at stake.
Well done, Jared. What are you doing, sucking up to the tea? Barry? Anyone got an apple?
Sorry, voice our opinion.
Sorry. Keep going.
No, you've lost me.
They'll throw absolutely everything into this game, will they not? Both sides.
They have to. Look, the apple in front of them is the carrots. The carrot's a great one. So I think they have to. Top 4, it's a great advantage to have. We think on the panel here that 5th can win it, but if you're top 4, it just makes it that little bit easier. And I think every bit they can throw at this game, they will.
I've got to hang on for 1 second, very quickly. So you reckon Fremantle's defensive game can hold them in good stead over 4 weeks, but Port Adelaide's offensive run won't hold them in good stead if they have to come from 5th?
I think it can. I think their running game is so powerful. I think it's back. They could quite easily steamroll a couple of sides along the way.
It's a factor on the road for me, because I think Fremantle is seasoned enough to be on the road for 3 weeks.
But I think if they lose, they get that home elimination final at home.
So there's one at home,
So there's one at home.
And then it's 3 on the road.
It is a tighter, harder, tougher game, though. finals footy.
Yeah, no, I know that. I can see that.
So it's
and I listen to you blokes talk about it.
Well, the offensive game doesn't.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's why I believe in Fremantle and what they're doing.
Okay. I have before me the latest instalment of your acting careers. Shall we peruse as we head to the AFL award season?
It was a Dumb and Dumber too.
Rising star, AFLPA MVP, All-Australian and the Brownlow medal.
There's 2 ways to find out who wins them all. You could break into AFL House. Or you could watch them all on Fox Footy.
That one. Do that one.
Make the smart move. Watch all the awards on Fox Footy.
I'll tell you now, if I don't have neighbours ringing me up tomorrow, I'm going to be filthy. That was amazing.
Hoodlums. Hoodlums. Who would have thought?
The Emmys can't be too far away. Enjoy your weekend of footy. We'll see you for some finals chat next up. So Sunday, will it all be live by the time we get to the Gold Coast for the Suns and the Eagles? Well, it'll be some consolation if the Tigers haven't won, and then it would roll on. It'll be live no matter what. If that's the case, Adelaide and St Kilda, and there'll be a lure for the Crows to chase as the footy world says goodbye to Lenny Hayes. Next week on AFL 360, the captains and the coaches from the 8 finalists will join us for chats as we head to one of the most anticipated final series in years. We'll get the inside word from the men vying for the 2014 AFL Premiership. It'll begin on Monday. We don't quite have the full combinations set yet, and that's the best way to be as you head into the last round of the home and away. The captains and the coaches next week on AFL 360.
How good's that going to be?
The weekend forecast, Robbo, for round 23. This is brought to you by Gatorade. A sure thing.
You suck.
Thanks.
Was that as hard as what it looked? Ooh.
A sure thing.
Feel it. Sure thing.
He'll bruise up.
Oh, we'll have a big bruise tomorrow. He always goes one step too far, doesn't he? Luke Ball, I think, will get a guard of honour.
Oh yes.
We'll get. You're not eating that either because of that.
It's ruining perfectly good fruit. So guard of honour.
Guard of honour for Luke. Yeah, I think he's the kind of player that deserves it. Yep. I really do. You?
I'm spruiking for Teary Bob. After reading that piece today, I can't see how he won't get all misty-eyed at the end of Gia's final game.
Yeah, we asked him the other night, will he cry?
I feel absolutely certain now that the answer is yes.
Good.
Most at stake?
Oh, West Coast for me. Mm-hmm. And I reckon you're going to say Adelaide. So let's just talk about them together.
Yes.
Well, if it gets to West Coast and they're going in and they've got to beat Gold Coast to Gold Coast, which is a difficult job, that is going to be an enthralling game of footy.
Yes, and if Adelaide has a target to run at, I think that will just be amazing. So they'll have the hour crossover, and then they'll have clear air to know exactly what they have to do. And if it's alive, imagine from halftime when Brenton Sanderson says, "This is it." Away you go. Doomsday scenario?
Well, this is an interesting one. The loser of Dockers v Power. Mm-hmm. And we just discussed it then. It's going to be difficult from 5th. I think they can be a pretty good challenger, whoever it is, both the defensive and offensive. But I think people are going to say, you can't win it from 5th, because that's what everyone says every year. So that's my doomsday, whoever finishes 5th.
Imagine if Richmond's fate is decided after the siren, either with Jack Revolt kicking at goal to hit them into the finals, or if Buddy's kicking for goal to win it for the Swans. There's nothing in it for the Swans. He lines up after the siren to win it for Sydney with all of the Richmond faithful hanging on that kick.
This is not a fiction novel.
That, my friend, is a doomsday scenario. Richmond loses after the siren in round 23.
Well, I would have said, imagine if Buddy goes in the ocean tomorrow at Bondi and a shark comes up and takes his left leg.
It's
I mean, I can make up stuff as well.
On Fox Footy with the best pre-match, halftime and post-match analysis, as you've come to expect.
A bit mouthy last week when I wasn't here.
As I should be. Home sucking on the couch with the sniffles.
No Boomer, no Daniel Wells. When you guys hear that, what do you think straight away?
I was really, really, really happy.
Doomsday scenario.
Yeah, well, obviously, if we lose, then...
Oh, can we have anything other than bloody Richmond?
Not at the moment.
Does anyone watching run a mobile dog wash? If you do, I would like to hear from you on Twitter, please.
Are we allowed to make please, are we?
I feel like
Does
I
anyone
need
deliver
assistance.
beer after midnight? Have you made up your mind about next year yet?
No. What? What are you...
What are you doing?
I had something in my eye.
Has Mick changed? I don't think so. So my opinion hasn't changed.
My wife refers to Gia as my other wife, and she said, "Oh, you'll be bawling your eyes out."
No running back with the flood this week. If you've got any doubt on how to do that, I can show you how to do that.
Does that usually happen at training?
Gibbo walking past a camera, absolutely.
If we put it in as a free kick, they will pick it and then it will disappear. Anyway, I was going to write that tomorrow.
Still right. It won't have nearly
How do I
as much
write?
impact.
Okay, so how do I write armhand?
Only one apple was harmed in the filming of that last segment.
Yeah.
Shall we
What's going on here?
have a little replay?
Do you reckon I went
Hamish
down?
Hartlett, careful Baz, you get weeks for wax like that these days.
That hurt as well.
Intentional. Baby news before we go. Hearty congratulations from the whole Fox Footy team to Sarah Jones and Lee Carlson, who last night welcomed a baby girl into the world, Miller, and she is very much the property of Fox Footy. Well done.